The way I see life is not a straight line. It's not. Life is a bumpy road. So you can be on a high and all of a sudden you can be on a low. And sometimes it could be stagnant for a while. So for me, my Christian faith really motivates. That's where my strength comes from. We're in the property game and people sometimes think everything's just smooth sailing. They see the end result. You go on social media, completed this deal. Everyone just sees like, we bought this property, we refinance, and everyone just sees like the great stuff. No one sees what goes behind the scenes. So from a young age, we're starting to instill this into our kids, that you're bold, you're fearless, you're brave, because life will come at you. Whether you like it or not, life will come at you, but it's how do you navigate those storms that really matters. Success to me, to be fair, it's a legacy. It's about me changing my life and those around me. So success to me is beyond me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Need to Succeed podcast. As I always say, this podcast is designed to really understand the journey of wildly successful entrepreneurs. Because oftentimes what happens is you could be going through the exact same situation. So two people, the exact same situation. One person decides because of this situation, they're going to go on to become wildly successful. And the other person decides because of that same situation, they can no longer achieve the things that they want to achieve. Same situation, different outcomes. What is the difference between these two people? What is the difference in mindset? That is exactly what we look to uncover on the Need to Succeed podcast. And today I have got an absolutely incredible guest with me. This is a gentleman that has gone from becoming a banker to a wildly successful property investor, and he has got a master plan. He wants to change the way that first-time buyers actually view property. Instead of that property becoming a liability, he wants to show them how, from the very first purchase, they can turn that liability into an asset. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Moses Bright.
Thank you very much, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing, everyone?
I'm awesome, man. Thank you. I mean, this is beautiful. What you're doing is awesome. So for me, it's a pleasure to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm really looking to get into this because this is it's one of those topics, right? People always talk about, if there's this within the property world, there's this argument of, well, if you're buying a property to live in, then it's just a liability, right?
Correct.
Which is a good argument for that. But on the flip side of it, there is a way to make that liability actually an asset. It's all about how you're thinking and processing through it. So I'm really, really excited to see, what your journey has been and, how you can hopefully help some people start thinking a little bit differently as well.
Correct.
Brilliant stuff. So look, we have got a tradition on the podcast.
Okay.
And now the very first question, Moses, is...
wait.
You're like, what's going on?
What is going on?
It's a simple one, but it's not.
Okay.
What does success actually mean to you?
Success to me, to be fair, it's a legacy. Success is me. It's not just about me. It's about me changing my life and those around me. So success to me is beyond me. So I give an example. It's me planning things ahead, not just for today, but for tomorrow and afterwards. That is continuous. It's a legacy. So I know people sometimes think success means you earning money, but it's beyond that. It's do I have a healthy relationship? Do I have a healthy marriage? Do I have healthy kids? What's my family life like? So what am I putting in place now that will benefit those around me? So that is success, because they will not remember me for having money or things like that. It's what have I actually invested into their lives. Yeah. So that's what drives me. Wow. As a successful person. So when people think sometimes success is you have a nice car, you have a nice house, but you can't take those things with you. You can't eat your house, you can't eat your car. But the impact you leave behind you is what people get to remember. They will not remember that he owned this car. What is the impact? What have you left? What legacy have you left behind those that you love, that you care about? What would they remember you for? That for me is success.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I get it. But it's like one of those things which is, no one's really given that answer before, because it's probably one of the most selfless things, because people kind of talk about legacy, but, you know, also there's a metric to actually gauge success right here, right now.
Correct.
It's like life insurance.
Yep.
It's probably one of the most selfless things. You're paying this money every single month, and you know you're never going to see that money. And in fact,
absolutely,
your family is going to see that once you're dead. So you're never going to get to see. You know what I mean? But it's one of those, you know, selfless things. So how do you then, you know, push yourself, knowing that your success ultimately is going to be defined after you leave, right? Based on how you define success. So how do you kind of push yourself to, people always talk about affirmations and gratitude and things like that, right? Obviously, you can't see what that's going to look like in 50, 60 years. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
So for me, to be fair, it's all around my Christian faith. So I'm when I say Christian faith, so I class myself as a child of God first. So because I go to church and things like that. So that's my foundation. So I do things like read my Bible. I go to church. I'm also an active member of my local church, and my faith in God is what keeps me going. Because I see life. The way I see life is not a straight line. It's not. Life is a bumpy road. So you can be on a high, and all of a sudden you can be on a low, and sometimes you could be stagnant for a while. So for me, my Christian faith really motivates. It's literally, that's where my strength comes from. So I do things like, I read my Bible, and, I listen to messages that really, I can relate to. So, if you turn on the news every single day, there is no good news. Like literally your phone, you wake up and your phone buzzes, and the first thing your phone tells you is this person's been killed, this has happened. So already your mind is being fed the minute your eyes open every single morning. So for me, it's about, I have to discipline myself to say no to that. I can't let that come in for a start. I need to feed myself something that, that will be positive to me. So I, for years I had, affirmation, and still do to now. So I say things to myself. Like my wife just wrote a book, and it's called Fearless, a children's book. It's called Fly Chico Fly. And that book is dedicated to my two daughters. And it tells them that you are bold, you're fearless, and you're brave. So from a young age, we're starting to instill this into our kids, that you're bold, you're fearless, you're brave, because life will come at you, whether you like it or not. Whether you're successful, if you class success as, maybe in material things, or you're not. Whether rich, poor, it doesn't matter. Life will come at you, but it's how do you navigate those storms that really matter. So for us and for me, I'm making sure every single day, this mind that I have is not filled with junk or negative things. It's filled with things that I know will help me. So there's for example, I read my Bible, so there's Bible verses that I hold, is in my phone, is in my mind. So so the kind of music I listen to matters a lot to me. What I feed myself, because what you feed yourself will show. So what comes in will always show on the outside. So I'm always making sure that I feed myself the right things, so that when I come across situations, I know how to handle them.
Amazing. Yeah, there's a saying which is like where your focus goes, energy flows and results follow, right?
Yes.
So it's just one of those important things, like you got to be very careful as to the information that you actually feed in your mind, or what you're choosing to focus on. Even if you're going through some difficult patches, or something difficult's happening, it's like, this is actually a difficult situation. There's no way of sugarcoating it. How you decide to actually process that information matters.
Yes.
Because you can look at the crap situation that's happening and say, oh, this is crap, the rubbish is going to make my life more difficult.
Yeah.
Or you can say, okay, cool, this has happened. What's the best way for me to move forward from this? And what's the best way for me to actually solve the situation? Same outcome, different thought patterns will actually yield you different results, but will also determine how you feel about that particular situation as well.
You're right. I mean, there's no one who, I'll give an example. So even though I've got two kids, I've got two beautiful girls, 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I do say to them, I know they're young, but I do say to them, you're going to go through things in life. You can't sugarcoat it. So, and sometimes when they face situations, the way I make them see things. So let me give it a good example. My 3-year-old is going to school next year. And, I think before they go to school, they need to have like the jab or something like that. and we had it I think about 2 months ago. And on the way there, it's like obviously you're going to the GP, so she's thinking, why are we going to the GP? What's going on here? Because she remembered, and obviously my other daughter spoke about, the injection and things like that. But what was amazing was, and I can't forget it, as we were waiting, she just knew that, okay, now we're in the waiting room, we're going to go over there. And she said to me, she's 3 years old, and she said, Daddy, I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm courageous.
Wow.
She said it herself. Because she's kind of like asking me what's going to happen. And I told us, there's no, I just said, you're going to get injection. Obviously, my 5-year-old has spoken about injection in such a way that, you know what kids are like, oh, it's painful and this. So rather than being fearful of what you're about to face, she just said to me right there and then, like, Daddy, I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm courageous. And I looked at her and I said, yes, you are. And I gave her a hug. We sat down. Boom, boom. The nurse was like, do you want a badge? Do you want candy? And she's like, this girl just stood like nothing happened. Because why? So these are the things I'm teaching my kids now, because I have to also say that, we're in the property game, and people sometimes think everything's just smooth sailing. They see the end result. You go on social media, completed this deal. This is, what I'm talking about. Everyone just sees like, we bought this property, we refinanced, and everyone just sees like the great stuff. No one sees what goes behind the scenes. And sometimes you have to, if you don't have that mindset, it can be quite difficult. And the mindset is what differentiates people. Like you said, two people face the same outcome. One will see through it, and the other one will be like, you know what, I can't go past this. So that is so important, especially, our mindset is the engine room. And if that is messy, how do you go forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant. So how you've clearly got a very, very different mindset, from, the majority of people. Clearly there's something about the way that you're wired that's allowed you to achieve what you've actually achieved so far. And, it's great to hear that you're, really kind of putting that, towards your kids as well. Because that's something that I'm really conscious of. So my daughter at the moment is 16 months old.
Yeah.
So I'm really conscious of, first of all, she's not going to have the life experiences that I had. That's why I work hard to make sure she doesn't.
Correct.
But at the same time, there's certain ethics, values, that I also want to make sure that she does have.
Correct.
Right? So it's like, if you haven't had these experiences, how do you have these values? And how do you? So that's something that I'm always constantly worried about. So I'm always trying to take tips from parents and stuff like that. So that's a great one that I'm certainly going to be implementing for sure. But like, who was David? Sorry, David. Who was Moses? Back in school.
I've never been. That one took me by surprise. Oh gosh, wow! I've never been asked that before. So it was Moses back in school. Funny enough, Moses was I would say he was a very he was shy, and he was shy but outgoing at the same time. It was very expressive, but a bit scared. Always thinking of like sometimes what people think, like you say something to him that he doesn't like, that can put him in a cave, he would just cave in. So he was outspoken, he was brave, but he was a dreamer. That's what I can say. The dream, the things I'm doing right now. I started seeing this since I was 9 years old. From age 9, I just started dreaming. I would spend, and this is before reading in the books. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I would sometimes just spend time each day visualizing things. From age 9, I used to visualize that I would get married, I have 2 kids, and I'll have this life. But I wouldn't share with people because I learned quite early that if you share certain things with people, especially if you're in the wrong crowd, they can bring down your dreams. But I was just that guy that just outgoing, but I was not getting any. There was no like mentors or nothing like that in my life, to be fair. I just, your family's working, everyone's trying to graft, My grandmother played a very big role in my life. And I think that's probably why I decided to go into the line of business. She, she's passed now, but she never worked. And from a young age, she'd have like a store, she would buy things and sell. She was always buying and selling. So from a young age, even in school, that buying and selling was there, but she taught me how to negotiate. my grandmother taught me how to negotiate. So from school days, it's kind of like, she would say to me, go buy this. So go to the butcher's, for example. Yeah. Get me meat of, say, £50. Well, there's £40. So negotiate on that, because she would take me to the market first. And then, so from a young age, because I was raised by my grandparents, so that for me, for my school days, it was fun. I mean, I had loads of fun, but you just carefree. But looking back at it now, if I had someone in my life that could have mentored me from a young age, from a school age, and share things that I know now, oh, wow. I mean, just when you asked me that question, it just took me back. I'm like, if I just had someone back then to mentor me, just to teach me certain things, that there are loads of mistakes I wouldn't have made. I wouldn't have made. Oh my goodness me. This is why I'm so keen on like working with the younger generation, because if life, I know you want to have fun. Yeah, we had fun, but did we waste time? Oh yes, we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
School days, you waste a lot of time, you can't get it back. So it's now that we're trying to catch up on certain things now, because back then it's like, YOLO. You only live once, man. You want the PS5, you want this, you want that. So my school days was just about fun. I didn't even know what I was going to do, but I just knew that I would run a business, but I didn't even know what kind of business I was going to do. So from school, I started, because people don't know this, but I actually studied dance studies. So I'm actually a dancer. So I dance quite a lot. Got a bit moves there,
Come on.
I've been dancing from a young age. And because of that, I thought, I went into that dance studies and went a bit of, did some acting stuff. But I just knew that dream that I had when I was young, that I'm going to run a business. And the only thing that just kept coming to my mind from a young age was property. Because I remember when I was in school, I would go to my friend's house and I was always looking around the house. And I didn't understand why. I was just looking at, why was this wall here? Why is this living room like this? Why is this bedroom here? Why isn't the toilet a bit to this? I just didn't know why. So that was my school days, just always doing things that normal school boys or girls would do, but I was always at one point looking at property. And my mother would just, when she takes me on holiday, we'll travel. And I don't know if she noticed it, but she would just take me sightseeing. My mother did that. She would just take me to this was like in Nigeria, we'd travel, and she would take me to the capital, Abuja, and just, there was a time she took me to it's like this massive rock. Me, my mom, and my auntie, and one of our friends were stood on this rock, and you can see the whole city. Now, this is the thing, they don't realize what they're doing, but I could just see, and I just thought, wow, look at the properties. And she would always tell me, look at the house, you like the shape of the house? I was like, yeah, it's because it's like she would always talk to me about houses. So I think from when I turned 18, I almost bought my first house in Birmingham. Believe you me, yeah, when I was 18 years old, I was so close to buying a house. But that was when I realized, if you don't have the knowledge and the education, you can make a big mistake. So yeah, going back to my school days, it was fun. It was fun, but my school days, I was a dreamer.
That's amazing. Like, how did you? So you were a dreamer. You were a little bit shy, but still like going, which is actually something that I know exactly what you mean. It sounds almost counterintuitive, but
it does, yeah.
Because that's similar. It's weird. People don't think that I'm a shy person, right? But I'm like, no, I can actually be quite shy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How did you transition out of that? Like you said, always wondering, worrying what people think about. When did that kind of start taking shape, or you start trying to actually realize, what, I don't really care?
Yeah. So that for me, it started literally, funny enough, it was in my 20s. It took a while. It took a long time, because you're very cautious of what people say about you.
Listen, most people, adults, 30s, 40s, 50s, still worry about that. So it's something that sometimes can actually last for your whole life. Yeah,
you're consistently worried about what people think about you. You're always thinking, oh, did I dress right? Did I say the right thing? Am I sounding right? So I started reading. So from a young age, I just thought, you know what, there must be something out there. So because of my personality of being like sometimes fearful and shy, so I thought, I need to research positive thinking. So most people read like that. Most people will tell you my first book was Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was not my first book. My first book was not rich, because before I get to that stage yet, this needs to change, because I can't read that if this is not right. So one of the books I actually I started buying books on words. Yeah, I started buying books on like the power of your words. I started buying books about mindset. There's a lady, a preacher in America called Joyce Meyer. She writes, she writes books on the battlefield of the mind. So I started researching those. I started reading those kind of books because I really wanted to understand why is it that we're so quick to think negative first before we think positive? And it's still going on to today. We always want to see. We are very quick to see the negative outcome, fear. You know what I'm saying? False experiences appearing real. We always want to think. So I just started focusing on books. So I've got a library. I mean, I've got a big library. So I started buying books like The Magic of Thinking Big. And not only did I buy the book, I bought the CD. So so when I got my license, I was driving. One of my boys will play the boom, 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 boom. When the boys will play. When you go off my car, guess what? Glove compartment, Magic of Thinking Big. I remember the first word. There is magic and thinking big. Boom, it goes in. Then I'm listening to it. So I'm listening to it. Then I started reading, there's a book in the Bible called Proverbs, the book of Proverbs. I started reading Proverbs like literally every single day because I just realized that, if I'm going to go somewhere, I need to be prepared. I just thought, if I'm going to go that direction, I need to prepare myself. So for me, it was just books. I started reading books. I didn't really read books about wealth or anything like that. I just bought loads of books. It's by Vincent Norman, Positive Thinking, the power of positive thinking. Yeah, bought it, read it, and I would ask my friends. I'd be like, Abraham, do you have any book to do with like positive thinking? So you recommend a book? I could be traveling on the train, and I'll see you reading a book. If it's got something to do with positive thinking, I would take a picture of it and buying it. So at one point, my mom used to be like, "Are you gonna read all these books?" Because you're just seeing books just coming in, and then people would sometimes say, "Oh, you like this kind of topic? I've got a book for you." So I read loads of books in terms of like positive thinking, like your mindset, and I started to listen to people like Jim Rohn. I heard about Jim Rohn, and things. I just wanted to fill my mind because it was one of my weakness where I'm always thinking of the negative impact first. Believe you me, that if I tell you how my own story, like my negative thoughts affected me so much, like a lot for a long period of time, that mean? I failed, believe you me, I failed my driving test about 6 times. My driving instructor couldn't understand. And I think the 6th time, one of the guys in Bexley in Kent, he was like, he doesn't understand. You're actually, for a young person, I think it was about 18 or so, he said, you are a good driver. And I don't understand how you're failing. What he didn't realize was, when we're going for the test, in the car with my driving instructor, I'm like, man, I'm like nervous. I'm like, I think I've already failed. I think. And he's like, well, is that not? I'm like, nah, I've never done the test yet, but I'm just, do you know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking, I can't see myself passing this. I failed. And then one day, I'm thinking, hold on a second, you're reading all these books, Power of Thinking Big, Magic of Thinking, and I'm thinking, I'm reading all these books. Why don't you just apply what you're reading? If you've been reading for such a long time, apply what you're reading. And then my last one, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this done. This time, I'm going to pass so well that I'll hardly get any major or any minors. Went for the test in Bexley Heath. It was done, and I still remember to today. I've got the, your test certificates and stuff. I have it somewhere in my mom's house. Like, I think I can, it's in one of the wardrobes. I know I've got it somewhere. And when we finished, the guy looked at me and said, for a young person, you drive very well. Because this guy don't realize it. I've been taught by like 7 different people. So it's like I've been mentored by 7 different people. So I've taken skills from this guy, from this guy, from this guy. So when I passed, he was like, listen, man, this driving was just flawless. He said, this is what I was telling you. I told you can drive. Don't let this get to you. He doesn't know me he doesn't know me, but I feel like this guy understands that this boy is failing not because of his skill, but because of his mindset. So how many people are out there have the skill, but this is not right.
Yeah.
And after that guy spoke to me, that was more like a game changer for me. It started changing the way I see things. So after a while, I became like this guy who's, hey, you're just thinking big and da 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 da. I was like, no. So the point that I'd got kicked, I went to university. My first degree was in dance studies. And again, the mindset, it comes back again. I can't do dissertation. We don't understand. Our mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And then, just before I did my dissertation, I thought, I know I can't do it. I dropped out of it. But it changed when I said to myself, you know what? I need to go back to university. But this time I set myself a big challenge. Like when I say big challenge, something you have to set yourself challenge that will scare you. And my challenge was, I'm going to go back to university and I'm going to graduate with a first class degree in business because I would love to run a business. So for me to overcome that fear, I started telling people before I applied. So if I meet you, like, what are you doing? I'm like, Ibrahim, I'm going to go back to university. I'm going to do a business course. I'm going to get first class. So when you hear that, you're thinking, whoa, first class is quite hard, But because I said it so much, I applied, it was a 3-year course, squashed into 2. Then I got my first class.
You conditioned your mind, you conditioned yourself, and there was no other option.
And what then happened as well, when you condition your mind as well, you actually attract those things. So as obviously the law of attraction, started reading about that. So those are how things started changing for me, that those things now help me in my own business. So there's certain clients at the moment that I attract based on my thinking. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about certain things, and I see it happen per year. I'll attract certain, but it's just like this year, there were certain clients I wanted to work with, and all of a sudden, I'm noticing that they're starting to come towards me. So our mind, people sometimes think, I want to run this, I want to go into this, but if you've not worked on the mindset, you can go to the courses, you can study. If the mindset is not right, you come across this wall, and it'll be difficult to move ahead.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I always say, strategy doesn't matter.
No.
Like, the mindset's the most important thing. If the mindset's right, you can, if you want to talk about, monetary success, you can do property, you can do e-commerce, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Once you've got this right. But if you haven't got this right, it doesn't really matter what strategy you're doing. Your likelihood of success is a lot less because you're going to come across roadblocks and you're not going to understand how to actually push through those roadblocks, right? I hear exactly what you're saying. The way that I view law of attraction, positive thinking is just simple. It's not, I don't feel it's, because people think, positive thinking, you sit there meditating, it's going to come to you, right? I think it's setting an intention, a goal, right? And then doing everything towards actually accomplishing that goal. Yes. Now, if the goal is big enough and it's something that you've written down, it's a clear goal, then you're going to be focused, you're going to be thinking about it. As a result of that goal being constantly in your mind, you're always going to be telling people exactly what it is that you want to achieve. And as a result of those conversations you're having, people start to put things in place that will attract that goal you want. Oh, yeah, I know Moses is looking. Why don't you speak to Moses? He's the guy for that stuff.
That's right.
So now you're attracting all those things to you because you set that goal, you focused on it, and your life is now consumed by that. That's what, to me, law of attraction is. And I think sometimes people have kind of misplaced that.
No, you're right. And there's also hard work. Working in your mind is hard work.
Yes.
If people just think, these guys are speaking about mindset right now, I'll just start thinking positive and I'll just write things on my mirror every single day. I'm successful. I'm gonna be a billionaire. It doesn't work like that. It's intention. You have to be ready to put in the work. So for me, from a young age, I started by reading. So I had to take time out to read. Yes, you enjoy the the games back in the day, but it's okay. I need to carve out time to read, get the knowledge. Okay, apply it. You know what I mean? Just apply it. I started listening to loads of interviews. So what I would do, I'm like, okay, how did this guy get here? How did Jim Rohn get to where he's right now? Brian Tracy, how did you get to where you are? Les Brown, I started listening to Les Brown. And then this is the Les Brown story that I want to share with you, if you don't mind. But I just listening to Les Brown. When he said that when you fall down, if you can look up, you can get up. It's not over until you win. Man, that for me was like I I became like my brain is like, I became like a Mike Tyson in my head. Like, do you know what? If you tell me no now, it's, oh man, I'm the wrong person to tell no. Like, if you tell me no, it's so difficult for me to accept it. Very, very difficult for me to accept it. And I've proven it several times. So when I was listening to Les Brown, listening to his story, you know, I mean, I consumed a lot of Les Brown. Les Brown, if you listen, man, I consumed a lot of his, to the point that I got to the point I would listen to him and I was saying, it's like I'm speaking.
He's a
So
great
with
orator.
mindset, because I listened to Les Brown so much, I had in my mind that, you know what, I would love to meet this man live. And this was, I think 2015 or 2018, one of my anniversaries, we went on a holiday. And I've just put in my mind that, you know what, I just love, you know, how he speaks, his story, and he's been a blessing to me. You know, just, he's not over until you win. So, I mean, it's not over until you win. At one point was my signature, you know, you put my kind regard, Moses Bryce, it's not over until you win. So I had that so many times. And I just thought, you know what, I would just love to see this guy speak live. So consistently, I was thinking about that. I didn't know how it was going to happen. So I went on my anniversary. I think this is when I went to Greece with my wife, and I came back, and I just got an email. Boom, you know, rare opportunity. Les Brown coming to the UK to speak. Was in Houston or something like that. There's a ticket. I was just like, I've been thinking about this for such a long time, and now I have the opportunity to meet this quickly. Booked it. I made sure I was there, and so he's on stage, and I'm like here. I was able to shake his hand, able to take pictures. So it's the mindset. It's just our mind. You have to go to work on your mind every day. You know how people do 9 to 5? You do 9 to life. For your mindset is life. It's everything. Because even if you achieve a goal that you set before yourself, even especially a goal that's bigger than you. I'll give an example. If you ask people right now, what would you like to achieve in 2023? People tell you, I want to lose weight. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. What they don't understand is that you first of all need to make sure it's settled here. That if you set that goal here, you then need, like you said, you then need to go to work. Like I said to myself this year, I wanted to read more books. This year, minimum, I just set myself a goal. I wanted to read minimum of 12 books this year. Guess what? I joined a book club. So we had like our meeting, just I think on Saturday, just gone. When I looked at the books, the minimum I've read so far is about 16.
Wow.
16 books. By just setting, so not only did you set that goal, accountability. So your thinking, your mindset is more than you. It's beyond you. When you, like you said, you think those things, you attract those things, and then you go to work. So if I'm thinking I want to buy a property, for example, I need to then decide, okay, I need to go to where people talk about property. So if I surround myself with people who are talking about property, then I can then also be accountable to someone. So, but I also need to put in the work. So it's beyond just thinking about it. You have to think about it and then decide, okay, let's go to work and let's ensure that we get this done no matter what.
Wow. How did you get into property?
Property was for me it was, like I said, because I've always had that, you know, that desire and just that love for property for a very, very young age. And my mindset had to change, because all I heard about property when I was younger was, oh my gosh, it costs a lot of money. You need a lot of money to buy property. So, you know, my mom bought her property like, you know, late 90s and stuff like that. You know, she had saved. And so obviously living with your parents, you're always thinking, okay, you got a deposit together. So I'll ask her questions and stuff like that. And she said to me, no, she saved money, but she didn't really listen. My mom, one thing I love about my mother is she's a goal setter as well. I learned a lot from her. Like if she wants something, what she would do is like, she would take a picture of that thing, she can put it on a wall. And I've seen it literally materialize. She would just, so it's like she wanted to own her own house. So she bought it. So when people were saying, you know, property, this is expensive, she's like, okay, I'm saving money. You can say that stuff, but my mind says I'm going to get one. So she bought it. Now, so I said to myself, okay, she owns. Okay, I would like to own mine one day. So, but it started with like from college. I remember when I was in college, and it's like, you know, I would do dance and do this, but I would always think property. It's like, it was just inside of me. And I thought, I never even knew up to 2000 and, I think up to 2012 or so, or 13, I didn't even know there were property networks. I didn't know about that. I had no clue. But you see, your mindset will attract those things. So I was just like, you know what? I want to get involved in property. I don't know how it's going to work, but people have just been telling me for years now that you need a lot of money to get involved in property. So I didn't even know what sourcing was. I just had this idea that what if, since I don't have the money to buy property, what if I find a property for someone who's so busy? And then I tell them, I have this property, Ibrahim. You're looking for property yourself, right? Okay. How about I get this property for you? I look for it for you, and then you buy it, but then you pay me a fee like £1,000. That's what I was thinking about that. I was like, you pay me like £1,000. I did not know that's what you call sourcing. I didn't have a clue. Wow. So then I came across, funny enough, one of my first property books that I just thought, I went on Amazon in, I think, 2012 or so. I just went on Amazon. I started searching property books. And then Simon Zucchi book came up. Property Magic came on. Bought it. And I read it. I was like, huh? What? What? So guess what I did? I quickly went. I was like, years ago I'd read, so from my study, I then read Rich Dad Poor Dad. But reading that book, I then went and read Rich Dad Poor Dad again to really I need to really get what this guy's saying.
He was talking about property.
This guy's just talking about property like this guy. I said, so I went quickly, so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad the second time. And then I came across, then I realized that this guy's always talking about mentoring and things like that. So I went on LinkedIn and I said, you know what, I will need someone to mentor me on LinkedIn and stuff like that. If I'll appreciate if someone can mentor me. And only one person responded to me. I mean, I was emailing people though. I was emailing the Candy Brothers and just all the big names in property. Obviously, no response. But wonderful guy emailed me back. His name is Cam Devode. And he emailed me back, said, yeah, come across. And I thought, wow. So for me, I was like, I got a response. This guy emailed me back, and he runs a property networking event. I started going to it almost a year. I was working and I would go to the event. When I went to the event, I got home, I was like, you mean there's a world out there like this? I didn't even understand that people met up to talk property. I didn't even know that property network existed. I just had an idea to find property for people, they buy it, I get paid. But I didn't know what sourcing. And I tried to do it myself, my friend, but it just didn't work. And he started mentoring me, and he just literally taught me a lot. This was meant like serious, deep mentoring, like really, really mentored me like very well. This guy spent quality time, and a big shout out to you, Cam. He's the one who got me really started. He's got like over 29 years experience, but he would carve time. He would carve time for me, and he would teach me things. When you're learning from one of the best in the industry, regardless, even if you sit next to Warren Buffett right now, after a year, you'll definitely know some stuff, regardless, because you hear him speak, you hear him do this. So then there was something that he showed that changed the game for me. And it was this diagram he showed, and it was like the entry level into property, so like the rent to rent, deal sourcing, deal packaging, lease option, all these kind of things. And you get into the buy-to-let, the HMOs, then you go into the developments, and you go into the commercials. And I was just like, rent to rent stuff, I was like, what, does that mean I have to then be dealing with tenants? I said, no. I said, I love people, but I said, nah, that's not for me. But now I thought, actually, I've been trying to do this thing. So this one is called sourcing. So I said, this is what he said, yeah, it's called property sourcing. I said, okay, I didn't know about that. But obviously, when I read it in the book, because I also read his book as well. He wrote a book about property being your pension. Now, Cam's book was actually what changed. He actually sowed a seed in me. Seeing property as a pension. So for me, I thought, okay, you know what? I've read Samuel Zucchi's book. I've read Cam's book. He spoke about, his book was quite good because he spoke about like the advantage and disadvantages of each strategy. So, and I just thought, let me go into the sourcing. But I said to myself, I would actually like to own singlets. And everyone likes the HMOs. I just thought, you know what? You can't be the same as everyone else. So you got to have your market. But I thought, it would be nice to just buy a house here for a family to live in. You are housing people. So from there, I just started sourcing, and I quit my job in 2015. So it was scary. Again, it was scary, and I thought, I really want to do this. But for almost a year, I was visualizing myself doing it. So I saw Moses as a property investor. I was seeing myself like becoming the go-to person. I even wrote down what I wanted to earn. I wrote it down. I got that from Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said he wrote a check for himself for 1 million. And when he earned it, and I thought, okay, you're writing that. I started writing, okay, a time will come about people start paying me £5,000. A time will come about people will pay me, 10,000. So I started writing all these things down. So prepare my mindset. And then when I quit my job, obviously to get into property, was it easy? It wasn't. So sourcing was how I actually got in. And from sourcing, for the first year, I didn't really get any deal. But 2016, as soon as I started to now, it hasn't stopped. So I started sourcing. But from sourcing, that was when I thought, okay, you know what? From what I've learned, what markets can I carve out for myself? Because everything's all saturated.
Why was that important?
For me, it was important because I was doing viewings for like years, for like almost 3, 4, 5 years. I was doing viewings, and I'll meet first-time buyers during my viewings. Because you book a viewing like 5, 10 properties on a Saturday. So I'll see them in the property, and then I was getting the deals. And I remember, I'll then trying to find another deal, and I'll see that same guy looking. And I'm just like, yeah, have you found a property now? He's like, nah, I'm still looking at my first property. It's quite a bit difficult, mate. I'm making an offer. I'm like, what did you offer on that one? So what did you offer on that one? And they would say, oh, I offered this. I'm like, whoa, that's a bit. The property let's say is 230. You've offered 250. And I'm thinking, wow, and you still didn't get it? It's like, no, competition's got. And I realized, hold on a second, I'm seeing a pattern here. A lot of this first time buyers, they're offering way, way, way over. So in the back of my mind, I thought, hold on a second, what can I do? Because every year I'm always thinking about my life, like, okay, you're this age, you're not getting younger. What can I do what market can I carve out for myself? Aside from that, the sourcing, the rent to rent, the buy to, I just want to focus on, I want to be a figure in this specific field. So I did research. So I started speaking to agents. I was speaking to a lot of agents. I was asking them questions. Who gives you the most headache? First time buyers. Okay, cool. Why is that? A lot of them don't really know what they're doing. They don't have support. So I started doing research, and I came across this article. I can't remember who wrote it, and it said that 30% of first time buyers make mistake. 30%. That's a lot.
It's crazy.
That's a lot. So if 100,000 first time buyers are buying,
proportion of the actual buying market.
But,
so 30%.
So that's the biggest. So I'm thinking 30%, and I thought, this can't be right. So I started researching mistakes Then I saw articles online about the mistakes, and I thought, hold on a second. Now this information is actually online, but how are people still making mistakes? Is it Phil Spencer or something like that? He writes about properties.
Spencer,
so I'm like, if you got someone like that, how are people still making? Because the market is so big. So I thought, let me create. So I'm, in property myself. Why don't I create a niche? So I thought, let me do it first. I said, let me do it first. So it was time to buy my first house. I said to my wife, I said, okay, then I'm sourcing. You're earning money and things like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's buy our first home. So I started sourcing in 2015, but I started really making a bit of money more 2016. So 2 years later, I thought, okay, let's buy our first home. But this is my goal. I want to do something that I'm going to use to help other people. I'm like, our first home, as a first-time buyer, is technically our investment property. So obviously, I've calibrated the area. I've done my, obviously we've experienced now, so I know specific areas. I know streets. I'm so into this stuff. I know where you should buy and where you shouldn't in an area. So I thought, okay, I'll pick an area. I said, well, I'd love us to grow our portfolio because I was sourcing property in the Medway area. I'm getting these properties. I didn't even know I didn't even know there's like the BRRs. So I didn't focus mainly on BRRs, but I'm getting properties for my investor. 110, 125, and it's been valued at 180. I'm just thinking, this is quite cool, man. And I thought, what if I got a property myself as a first-time buyer, but because it's my first investment property, if I add value to it, in a few years, I could, rather than waiting 10, 20 years, in the space of a short period of time, I could add value to it. So basically, replicate the BRR strategy with as a first time buyer.
What's BR?
So the buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. So that's when someone buys a house, like a very, very run down property. Normally they buy either using cash or from an auction. So some of those properties are not mortgageable, some of them are, but they buy the property that's a property that nobody wants to touch. You view a property that's quite smelly, you're thinking, oh, I'm done with the viewing today. And then another guy comes in like, this is my type of property. So those are the kind of properties, that is really run down, and you look at the scope. What can I do to add value to this property? So it could be a 2-bedroom that you could possibly turn into a 3-bedroom house, or a 1-bed flat you can turn into a 2-bedroom flat, or you can do an extension, you can do a loft conversion. So you buy at this price, you add value to it. So I'll give you a very simple number. You bought property for £100,000 because of the current condition, and then you spend, say, £20,000, and then that property is now worth 150 or is worth 160. So now you can refinance. You can get a mortgage on that property now. You can refinance it and pull out some of the money that you already spent, like your deposit and your refurb cost, out. So investors are doing that. So I said to myself, why don't I just buy my first home, but see it as my stepping stone into growing a portfolio in that area. So I bought property I bought was actually okay. But because of my experience, I still saw that I could do certain things to add more value to it. So first as I bought, added value to it, just literally refinancing it now, but I'm not pulling nothing out yet. I've just added 60 grand to my own house. And the property was in a good condition. But I've just changed quite a few things because of the knowledge, I knew exactly what to do. So this is the first home, because I'm like, if I'm going to do this to people, if I'm going to do this with people, you can't be trying to sell a car if you've not driven a car before. How would you know if it works? So I thought, okay, let me do mine. 60k equity. So obviously you can imagine my missus now, I had to sell it to her. So she understood. I'm like, no, we're not buying this dream home. No, your first house. And I said, my first house should cost me less than my daughter's nursery fee. That's what I said. It needs to cost me less. So I did that. So next year now, guess what? In 2 years' time, because I thought, let me just wait a little bit more because I want to do some other things. Then I want to buy some other investment property as well, add to my portfolio. But 2 years' time, I'll move again. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to buy another property. I'm moving to it, but I'll add value to it. I'll pull out some equity from here, buy that one, probably stay there for another 2 years, and I'll do it again. So all of a sudden, I'm growing my portfolio in that area. So I thought, what if I do this with first-time buyers? How will it work? When I started, working with first-time buyers around just before lockdown, it wasn't working. I was saying, no. They were like, nope, don't care. Don't care. No, I just want a house. Move into it, forget it. I mean, but that's a liability. You know how people say, your own property is a liability. That's what that people talk about.
That was going to be my next question.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. So, but that was how I got started. So I started by just sourcing. For years, I don't call myself a property sourcer. I don't anymore. I'm more of a property consultant because I'm working closely with people. So by having the knowledge that, I've been doing this now for 7 good years. So, and I did a stock and I've sourced literally over 70 properties. You know what I'm saying? And and I just thought, wow, this is both investors and first-time buyer. But I realized the first-time buyer properties are starting to rise up now because the mindset is starting to change. But I had to do it first. I always believe that if you're going to start selling food, I think you need to cook that food, try it, make sure it tastes good before you start selling it. Yep. So I did that for myself, and I've just done 60k uplift in my own home.
So now you know the formula works, and you can replicate it for someone else.
And I'm doing it literally. Minimum equity most of my clients have right now is £40,000.
Wow.
And they've not had to wait 10 years.
Wow.
We're not waiting 10 years.
Yeah, look, I would probably say I fall into that category of believing that, if you're buying a property to live in, then it's a liability.
Yeah.
Because there's so many factors that go into it, as opposed to renting, for example. But, what you're talking about is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's a game changer because you're now giving people the ability to buy a home, live in it, but actually have equity in that property from day one, which really makes an investment because now they're buying that first property with the view of, well, actually, in a few months' time, maybe even a year's time, I can pull out some money and just do this again.
Correct.
Which is incredible. That's changing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, we've just done one now that it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So first time buyer secured them a property, first home. This is their first property. But because it's now registering with people, so because I have to explain to them. So what I do first is I work on the mind first. So it's not just, when you come to me, I want to buy my first home, I have one-to-one sessions. They pay for my sessions. We have like an hour session. Sometimes they pay quite a few times, but because I need to get you there first. So, and now it's like property I got just recently for a client of mine. I got it for auction. I got it for modern method auction. Because their mindset is like, yes, we like what you're doing and we want to go this way. So secured property 320, just not far from Bluewater in Kent, and via auction done in 56 days, and I did it with a mortgage. The agent was like, "This guy, you're crazy." When I said to them, I got a mortgage offer, and they were like, "How have you moved so quick?" I said, "Because I know what I'm doing. I've got a team. I've got a good team, and this team I'm talking about is taking me actually, I would say, almost 10 years to build, because I've been looking for like the best mortgage brokers, the best solicitors, the best in the game. If I'm going to build this empire, I need to make sure I've got the best to work in the team. So we completed it in June, and rundown house. I mean, it's probably on my Instagram, and it's rundown property. And so they just said to me, "Okay, you know what? We've got the funds to do the refurb. Just give us a classy house." Now, why they were telling me that, in the back of my mind, I'd already set a goal. Before I even completed on the property, I'd already set a goal. Like, when I want to get the property for you guys, I'm going to do a refurb, and I had a target price. I was like, you know what? I've done 60 for myself. Let me push it. First time buyer. What if I do 100? What if I can do 100, I'll be so happy for this client. Because I'm doing 40s, 30s, 50s. So I wanted to hit the 100 mark for a first time buyer.
Crazy.
Not waiting 10 years. So got it, and 320, then they were like, just make it look classy. So they didn't even design, I'm doing the whole thing. So I've been like, okay, cool, I'll do the refurb for you guys. Come on, build it in, we planned it, and we said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So they didn't have a say. So I thought, okay, let's make the bathroom look like this, let's do this, let's take up the chimney walls, let's take up, and shout out to Danny Moses. I came across him, what he was doing. He was like doing his BRR strategy, and I thought, okay, cool. Let me get involved with this guy. Actually went into his mentorship, because I'm a lover of information. You have to grow. So, and I thought, let me go into. So this year, I saw some of his projects, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, this is investment property. I want to take this into my clients. So this year I was like, okay, let me do. He's done his uplifts. Let me do this for my client, because I've already done it for myself already. So started the refurb, and then literally, it's almost done now, by the way. So just in the space of like 2-3 months, done the refurb, and it got valued 2 weeks ago. Got it for 320. We spent just about close to like 60K just doing the refurb. It's now worth 425.
Wow.
First, they've not moved in here, by the way. This is your first home.
Game changer.
And we've already set the mortgage for 2 years. So they don't live in there for long. They only stay in there for 2 years. In 2 years, we're pulling. Now, that equity, if he's worth 425 now, what is it going to be worth in 2 years' time?
Yeah, absolutely. And they get to skip this whole turbulence in the market over the next 2 years as well.
So that's why I said to them, stay for 2 years. So these things we plan before we start doing viewing. So there's a lot that goes into it. So we decided, okay, let's fix the mortgage and stuff like that. So we thought, why people are complaining about interest rates going up, this and this, we have knowledge. So we've got the knowledge. So my company, we've got the knowledge. We know what we're doing. So people are complaining about the interest rate and this. We doing an uplift of. Normally, you wait almost 10 years to get 100 grand uplift in your property, or 60K uplift in your property. We're doing that now. We're starting from now.
One.
We find property. So the approach is, we're doing a BRR, but as a first time buyer. You understand? But you live in the property.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wait 10 years to put this out. So not only did I got so now when it was valued, I was like, okay, cool. And I'm like, okay, that's 100 grand uplift. So I'm like, okay, set the buy again. What if I do 120? I'm saying, and honestly, I'm like, okay, what if I do 120? What if I meet someone who? So now I'm looking to now working with even high net worth individuals. So that's like my target market now. So literally, is your first home? I'm not gonna get you some new. No. Let's get you a property that you might just stay there for 2 years. But what? How about in the first year? Because I know this strategy, I know how to do it as well. How about in the first year? What if I get you a house as a first time buyer and you're able to pull out 40K, 50K, 60K, 100K? How would it make you feel? You don't have to wait 10 years. changing the game.
Game changer.
Changing the game.
Absolutely changing.
Changing
Like,
the game.
it's incredible because what you can really do is, look, someone's going to buy a property anyway. They're going to buy the property.
Yeah.
Like, but what you're not doing is giving people the opportunity to actually get on the ladder, and that's something within our community.
Yes,
that's
correct.
super important, because now people can actually, you're almost taking that control away from them. So no, you want to buy a house, we are actually going to turn your goal into an asset as opposed to a liability, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing for you. Innit?
That's right.
But then what's really going to happen is generationally,
correct,
they're really going to benefit, and that's how you can start to change, the landscape of our future.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible thing. But how do you feel? I mean, is that part of your game plan?
It is. It was the vision, and I had this in about 2015 before I started. I just thought, you know what? But what I did was I thought, let me just really understand the game. So I gave myself at least 5 years. And in that 5 years, almost every single day, I would just carve time out. I'm just looking at it. I'm researching. What actually touched me was when I started speaking to some buyers. So what I did was my research also allowed me to speak to some first-time buyers. Like, okay, what have you? And someone would tell me, oh, they made a mistake. They bought here and they did this, and they were just buying a property. So, and then when I'm viewing properties with my clients, who we go on viewings. Sometimes they go on viewings. You meet someone who's selling, and I'm from my research. I'm like, you just bought this house last year. Why are you moving? Oh, and I'm like, oh, they made a mistake. They didn't know. They just saw that the house was nice. They didn't check the street. They didn't check a lot of things. The thing is that those information on the internet, it's on WhatsApp, it's on social media, but you need someone to really work with you. It's like you could go learn how to drive. You could watch car racing stuff on. You can watch a learn how to drive by the driving instructor on YouTube. But until you have that driving instructor next to you, the driving instructor is the one who will take you on that journey to really show you the skills and how to become a good driver. So that was what I decided to see, and I'm like, let me take this vision, which I believe is bigger than me, and what if I change the narrative of. Because sometimes I feel like they look down on first-time buyers, and the government, yes, they're bringing the schemes and things like that. I'm not, not knocking that off. They're trying to help, because not every single person have the money to go to that level. But what if we start this way? So if so there's things I do with my clients that, it's, some clients of mine, they'll buy property, and if they're not married, for example, they can rent it out, they start earning. There's a tax-free bracket you can earn from that. There's a lady right now who I'm looking to work with, in her 60s, and she just wants to buy another house so she can just retire in it. She just was like, just give me a house. I was like, okay, if I got your house here, cash, I know you don't want mortgage because you retirement because you don't want mortgage. I understand that. Okay, cool. How about I get your house and you earn from it? She was like, what do you mean? I was like, if I got your house, you're a lady, of course, okay, you got kids, you got grandkids and stuff. If we got your house, would you be open to renting out one of the rooms to another young lady who in the area who could then pay you rent? So we looked at the area and I looked at the rent and I said, okay, so if they pay you £500 a month, that will be coming to you. So basically, because you don't have a mortgage, the bills in that house is not being paid by you. So your pension doesn't go to. By the time I was done with her, it's like, when do we start? Do you understand?
Absolutely.
It's like, when do we start? Because it's like, I didn't really think about it that way, And she's like, most of the time I'll not even be there. I'll probably be in London anyway. And I'm like, well, that's just you. That's now a property you've bought cash, but it's going to be putting money in your pocket. And it's different because each person's scenario is quite different. I'm working with clients right now one of my clients, funny enough, I was talking to them today before, that's why I was outside, and they've just come from India last year. They've been almost a year now. Been working with them. So right now we've been setting up their credit. So we're getting them ready. So for the time right now they're so excited because they're like, you know what, our first house that we're going to move to is going to be an investment property. So now they're getting things in place. There's disciplines. There's so many things I get my clients to do that it involves a lot of discipline. But my vision is I want every single person, I want as much people to own a property. So the way I see a house is, people might say, okay, if you have the house, you're paying for it, it's a liability. I beg to differ, but that liability can become an asset to your kids. So if you decide not to do anything whatsoever, so if we've added value to your property, you've got your will and your stuff, your life insurance in place, when you pass on, if we're having 40K now, 100K now, in 30 years,
Yeah.
if it's 100K now, in 30 years' time,
Crazy.
on 40 years' time, where's that house going to be worth? So if you decide to just have one property, which you think is a liability for you right now, and you pay off the mortgage, okay, fine, as a homeowner, first-time buyer, but when it comes to your kids, by the time it passes on to them, you are saying, I didn't want to do nothing, I didn't have the ambition, I just bought a house, I bought it for like £300,000. Now property in this market in about 30, 40 years now are now worth £900,000. It's mortgage free. There's £900,000 for you guys to do whatever you want to do with. Your kids are smart. They can be like, okay, you know what? We do it up, uplift the value again. I don't know if I'll be here by another 50, 70 years. But what it becomes a legacy. So I'm getting my clients, don't just see your first property as just my first home. No, it's here as an asset. So property to me is an asset. And the vision is to help as much people based on their circumstances. And this is why, it gives me a buzz. What I do, I love it. And I love working with investors, but I just feel like there's this market out there for a lot of first-time buyers who are really, I'm tapping into more, and I'm changing how they see their first home.
Yeah, it's genuinely really incredible, because in the property space, no one really targets, this market. And in all honesty, this market probably the one that need the most help. Investors, there's a value exchange with investors. It's not because they need help; it's because they don't want to do it themselves.
No,
right?
They don't have the time.
You don't have the time.
They don't have time.
That's very different. These people you're talking about do not literally have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Hence why when you're speaking to agents get really frustrated by first-time buyers because they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
As a result of that, they go down the pecking order.
Yeah.
Even when they put offers and the agents are not taking it serious because they're like, we're not even sure if this is going to complete, so we'll just rather go to someone else, right?
Correct. Correct.
And they're missing out on opportunities, even like you said, they're offering above the market value, but they're still not taken seriously at all. But obviously within the property space, they seemed as not very profitable, if that makes sense.
That's
so
correct.
People just tend to not really look at that market. So really what you're doing is, you're taking away the monetary element. Now, of course, you're a businessman. You're still making money from doing these things, right? But you're taking away that first and you're saying, I actually want to help these people, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, I want to help these people. I want to change the trajectory of their futures by looking at this differently and being that person who is a professional who can actually represent them in these conversations. And as a result of that, they've got a better future.
Yeah.
You get to make money doing it. And I actually feel you're going to create something huge because no one else is doing it.
No one else is doing it. And it takes a lot of work. And I think you have to really, because you have to remember the emotion of an investor is different from the emotion of a first-time buyer. So I'll give you an example of just one recently that I got, which I love. I've been to 2 weddings this year, my clients. These are my clients. Wow. I've been to 2 weddings this year. One of them, I love it because I got them a house a few months ago. It'd be so funny if they're watching this. And so there were we've been doing the viewings, there were 2 properties. So one was in great condition. But the guy who's selling that property here is doing what I'm doing for them. So he's bought the house, he's added value to it, he's trying to sell it, but his price was just unrealistic. So we saw that one, and we saw another one. The property I've just got them now, the way I did, because it's the same, my theory, this property that I've just got this client, you can convert it into 2 flats. Literally, it's in a nice spot. You can convert it into 2. So imagine that's your first home. You move out and you convert that into 2 flats with all the planning and stuff. 2-bedroom upstairs, 1 bed downstairs, because downstairs where they have a shower. So I look for specific properties to buy. I look at layouts. I look at things. Sometimes I speak to my architect. I give them. I'm like, I speak to them. I speak to my builder. So I got to this property and it's like, no, but I wanted to get that other one is in good condition. I said, no. Remember this is why you're working with me. You also want to get involved in property. This is not your forever home. But you move out of here and then this starts putting money in your pocket. So that property, you can either, the one that I got for them now, you can turn into 2 flats, or you can actually turn into like a 4 or 5 bedroom HMO. And it will rent like that because of the location, because of the size of the house. 2 properties next to, I've already done love conversion. So when we book a property for clients, sometimes there's an intention behind the booking. So when you work with us, we don't just book you any. No. We book specifics. There's certain properties that we know. This one, this is it. Yeah, this one. If we can get this one, and obviously we negotiate. When I say we've announced property here, we take the whole stress of buying a house. So not only do we sort out the mortgage for our clients, we sort out the mortgage. We have a team of solicitors, accountants. We prepare them first. So it's like a one-stop shop. You don't have to go find. If you want to use your own, obviously, guys, you can. But obviously, our people are. Some of our mortgage brokers have been doing it for like 17 years. So these are guys who they've been through the turbulences of property, with lenders in the years. So our guys are so experienced. So we get them ready. We saw the mortgage, we saw your solicitor, we saw your accounting. We do everything for you. So literally, a lot of time our clients just view property. We know what we want to do with it. They view it, they like it, then we negotiate. So like I was saying to you earlier on, when I was speaking on Monday at an event, property, I got for this first time buyer on the market for 325. It's a probate property. Started negotiating last week Monday, and on Friday we just secured it for £300,000. And the average property on that street is 360, 375. But the reason why they were selling for 325 is because it's a probate. Families are like, listen, man, let's get with it. We want that money. But the agent, because of what I do, because in a certain area most of the agents know me, so they were like, listen, man. So this property has been marketed by 2 agents. But this one agent is like, listen, we know this guy. This guy has a reputation. This will be his 3rd property. He's just completed on 1 right now because the property I spoke about earlier on where we added value to it to like 425, same agent. So they're thinking, other branch is like, listen, man, we need to get for him as well. So they've spoken to the seller within a week or so. Seller's like, yeah, let's go. So first property. Seller
speaking to 2 agents, they're both saying this guy's the guy.
So his first property, £25,000 below market value. And then if you, and guess what? When he went to the back, I said to him, look around, extension. So I said, what can you do? He was like, and I said, don't forget though, the average property on this area, on this street and other streets, are 360, 375. And I've just got this for you for 300. And you see where I'm going with this? You're already. So when you move in this, and I already know what to do. So I'm going to take my builder there sometime next week or the week after, or maybe in the new year. I just want to start, planning ahead. So do like because of his phone, do like a bit of a refurb on property. And I said to him, so by then doing that, by the time he's done, already there's an uplift. So when you now do a full refurb, you're now in that bracket now of, again, probably 380. And you got it for 300.
Nice.
First time buyer, 10% deposit.
Incredible. Amazing. Honestly, this has been so cool, and I'm super excited to kind of see where the future goes with this. This is really, and I can see the excitement, the energy of you coming out when you're talking about this stuff, and it's really great to see someone who's passionate about what they do. Now we've got a tradition on here.
Okay, another one.
Another one. So it's the first and the last, right?
Yeah.
So this is the final question for you, my friend. So look, you've done incredible things. This journey started in 2015, and what you've been able to accomplish in that period of time is really admirable. And I know there's clearly a lot more to come as well. Like now, with everything that you've done already, right? Like, what is your need to succeed?
For me, my need to succeed, what drives me is not only just helping people, but I want to get to a place where I can look back and literally say, I've done my part in the property space. Because I've seen the different investors. I've seen Samuel Leeds, with the pin meetings and stuff. I've been to it. That's the legacy that he's left, for people, whether people like it or not. One of the first guys to start network meetings.
Samuel Zushi.
Samuel Zushi, but thanks for correcting me there. So I also want to live, I've seen what Cam has done, I've seen what Danny Moses is doing, I'm seeing what the other guys are doing. So with investors as well, I just want to leave a space. I want to leave a mark in the industry where I can look back into it and say, you know what? Imagine helping just 1% of the population, changing their lives. That for me is a drive. And I'm like, we've never started. I mean, we're now growing now, the team. So we consistently growing the business. We're growing the team now. We're going to be getting more people involved as of next year. So for me, that's what really drives me to see how can I spend. Obviously, same time while I'm growing my portfolio, because for me, my 2 girls are also my drive as well. So I want to make sure that they've got, my 2 girls talk about property. I even have one of them on my Instagram, there. So I want to leave that mark where I've added my own value to the marketplace. You know what I'm saying? That's what drives me. Like, I've added my value to the marketplace where, people can say to their kids, normally when you buy a house, you wait 10 years, property will always go up in value. But, we worked with Moses, and in the first year, our property went up in value literally by this much. And this is what you should have done. This should have happened 10 years later. So there's this, it's just changing the narrative, changing the mindsets of people. So I'm not looking to just work. I'm looking to work with everyone. So I'm looking to work with wherever you are, whether you're here, or there, even with, even wealthy people who want to just go buy. So for me, if I imagine someone like Abramovich came up to me and wants to buy a 30 million paint house in Chelsea, for example, I'm not going to buy you one of them. I'm going to go to Bishopsgate Avenue and look for a Ronda mansion. Do you understand? So even though you're wealthy, yeah, I understand that, but we're going to find one and we're going to make you look into something else, adding more value to it. So it's about leaving that legacy behind. For me, that's what really drives me. That's why when things don't go wrong, I don't get moved. I don't get phased at all. When there are times where my clients are even negative, but I don't reply to them. I don't, because I'm like, I can see what's ahead of, what's ahead. So for me, leaving that mark in the industry, I'm not here to look at popularity. That has never been my key. For me, if a few people can say, you know what, because we worked with this guy and this company, we're here. Whereby people can, in a year or two, imagine in a year, just think about it. In 2 years' time, you can pull out 100K from your first house. 2 years, that's a lot. How many people can say that? In 2 years, I can pull out 100 grand. And I'm trying to do right now. I want to get to the point where we can start doing this in 6 months. Because of how we're going to fund it. With the strategy and stuff. We're not doing now in 2 years. So we're doing it in 6 months, or we're doing it in 1 year. You're able to pull out 40, 50, 60, 80, and then you go again. And then so all of a sudden, from thinking this is my first time, is like, wow, this is my first asset. So yeah, that for me. It's the drive, man, and it makes me push. Like, I'm consistently pushing myself. So I don't understand comfort zone. I don't do comfort zone. It's you go beyond it. So yes, I'm looking to help as much people, and we've not started, man. We're going to change the game. It's when they think Moses Bright, they'll be thinking, yeah, that guy, yeah, appreciate it, man. That's what I'm after. Just hey, I'm glad I was part of your journey, and that's what does it for me. Just to say, you know what, thank you for trusting me with it, and I'm glad I'm part of that journey to help you in your journey of creating wealth and assets.
Moses Bright, thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Amazing.